Austria in Trounsey, take 4. This is Andy Rice and Jimmy Craythorne, and we are back to try and see out the rest of the competition. Thanks for joining us again if you've been with us throughout the day, and if you're just joining us now, well, it's been a difficult old day to get the racing done. Jimmy, just tell us about the weather here. It's been pretty challenging, hasn't it?
It has been challenging. I think we've done pretty well, or rather the race committee has done quite well at really taking every opportunity to get a race away. So it's been kind of getting one race done and then the conditions will change, so we have to get the riders back in. But we're getting there. We're getting there, and it's good.
So we've had lots of drama in the earlier stages with we're trialling a new system with the men's medal series final. We started out with 10 riders being able to win the championship going into the start of the day, but through the one race knockout system of the repechage, the quarterfinal and the semi-finals, we're finally down to the last 4, and we see who's going to come out of that. But before we do that, we're going to get into the women's final. So we saw the abandoned race of the women's final earlier, and Lauriane Nolot looked like she was making gains, and then the wind started to disappear, but it was still pretty close between all 4, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It was an exciting race. It was a shame that that the wind ran out, but Lauriane's speed was very evident in the early stages. Julia did quite a good job holding her out, and yeah, I wonder if they'll both go for the same strategy, and if the riders, the other 2, Alina and Brianna, will think of anything different.
Well, we handed out the coloured bibs to the top 4 girls earlier in the day. Let's just see that and just get a sense of the 4 characters that we're talking about. Close competition earlier for that one leg of that race before it was abandoned. So we're just keeping our fingers crossed that the wind stays long enough to just see out these finals for the women and for the men.
It's looking good out there at the moment. We've got most of the finalists out there just checking out the course. We've also got the men in the final, just having a bit of a razz around the race course, trying to work out what this new breeze is doing. Still unsure, which is good.
Well, we've got 2 minutes to go. There is the status on the leaderboard going into these finals. Julia Damasovic and Alina Corneli with no wins on the board so far. Lauriane Nolot with 1 win, and Brianna Whitehead with 2 wins. Those are the reward points you get for qualifying through the opening series in 2nd or 1st place, and that's why Brianna Whitehead only needs to win 1 more race, where everyone else, the other 3, need to win at least more than, well, they need to win multiple races basically. 1 minute 30 to the start. A quick ad break, and we'll be back to you shortly for the final minute. Right, 1 minute to the start, and that is Julia Damasovic in the green and Lauriane Nolot to the right. Oh no, that's one of the men's riders
Martin,
there.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah, we're actually looking at some of the men there. This is the women approaching the start with 40 seconds to go. And we got Brianna Whitehead in the yellow, Alina Corneli in the red, Julia Damasovic in the green, and Lorianne Nolot in the blue. 30 seconds to go. And what do you reckon, Jimmy? Have we got everyone lining up on starboard?
Yeah, so Julia's a little bit late to the start here. She's sending it, trying to catch up with the others, hoping to repeat
that
her
spot.
boat end start.
Yeah, she likes the boat end start.
Yeah.
And with just 7 seconds to go, has Julia Damasovic managed to do that? Alina Corneli looks like she's in a bit of trouble starting. Very clean start for Brianna Whitehead at this end of the line. But tactically, I wonder if it's better for Lorianne Nolot further up the line and then Julia Damasovic and Alina Corneli. Clear start, so we got 4 riders in this race. And Jimmy, who do you give the early advantage to?
Well, Brianna was definitely convinced on that pin. She was really, really committed to that start. She does like a good pin start. Good speed from her, but we know that Lorianne Nolot also has amazing speed as well. So it's hard to say early on who is going to take this race. We've got Alina Corneli at the top of the screen tacking first, with Julia Damasovic still with impressively good height and good angle there. But you can see the other two at the bottom of our screen extending on her, going for a bit of a lower mode, but they are fast. Lorianne Nolot attacking now, and she is crossing Julia, which different story from the race, the abandoned race before. So Lorianne Nolot coming along strong now on port, with Brianna just above her on port.
You can see the streaks of wind. It still looks quite inconsistent, but pretty consistent speeds coming from these riders at the moment. They're going through these stripy bits of breeze at a huge rate of knots. Lorianne Nolot touching 25 knots of boat speed, doing even more actually, more like 28 knots. That seems incredibly fast.
Impressive for the upwind. First attack there, Lorianne Nolot is going around the windward in the lead, with Brianna Whitehead coming in second at the moment, Alina Corneli in third, and Julia Damasovic the last attack there for that windward mark. Lorianne Nolot extending that lead, looking really solid on this downwind.
Doing big speeds downwind, doing 33 knots downwind. Nolot going very fast in the blue bib at the bottom of the screen, and it's Brianna Whitehead who's first to jibe, and Nolot is going to match that. Alina Corneli also smoothly onto her port jibe, and Julia Damasovic still on starboard in 4th place. So Nolot sailing a defensive game and using her speed to gradually stretch away. To me, Jimmy, it looks like Nolot's got slightly better depth than the other riders, going a little bit closer to the bottom mark.
Yeah, she does have good depth, and I wonder if she's in slightly different breeze there as well. It's very patchy across the course, but yeah, she's got good depth and a good rounding from her too. She'll be putting the hammer down to extend that lead even more. Brianna Whitehead with a slightly higher rounding, and Julia Damasovic caught up a little bit there on that downwind, going for the early tack. We'll see how that plays for her up this second beat.
It seemed to go okay for Alina Corneli, who's just tacking now. Corneli did a fairly early tack on the previous leg and seemed to go reasonably well for her. But the other two not being tempted into doing anything different at the moment. Nolot's still hammering out to the left-hand side of the course at the top of our picture. Nolot just tacking, Brianna Whitehead also tacking. And remember, the one person that Nolot cannot afford to let past her is Whitehead, because if Whitehead wins this race, she becomes champion in Trounsey. But at the moment, Nolot is doing enough to keep the game alive, and if Nolot can put a win on the board, she draws level with Whitehead, and they'll be on 2 wins apiece. So far so good for the reigning world champion from France, who's managing to stay in front of Brianna Whitehead from Australia. Pretty
Great
solid breeze.
speed. Yeah, solid breeze. It's the most consistent we've seen all day, I have to say.
Simultaneous attack for Alina Corneli and Julia Damasovic on the right-hand side. Will they have made gains back towards the front two? It looks like they might have closed the gap a little bit on Brianna Whitehead. Brianna Whitehead's got a pressure tack to do here. Is it going to be enough, or is Corneli going to be able to overtake her? It looks like Corneli's moved up into second ahead of Whitehead. And so this is going to be traffic jam for the back three, and it's going to make life even easier for Nolo to maintain her lead and possibly extend on this final downwind leg.
Lorianne Nolo going for the early jibe there. And crossing the others.
It looks like good gusts, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And what amazes me is these boards are so fast. You see a gust in front of you and you can catch it up and overtake it.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
And it's been a pretty clean race. Not many splashdowns so far compared with what we've seen. So it does suggest that the wind is more constant, more predictable than it's been. And Nolo on the left of your picture, jibing around the bottom mark for the final time. And now it's the slingshot out to the white mark to the right of your screen. And this can still have some sketchy moments in it. And Nolo is not that far ahead of Alina Corneli. It looks like Corneli has managed to close the gap. So the Austrian rider really pushing Nolo. Nolo into the final jibe. Is she going to be able to keep it together and stay ahead for the final approach to the finish? Corneli's had a big carry on
the jibe.
So Nolo's going to win easily. So that Nolo puts her first win of the final on the board. And that means that she's going to have 2 wins to her name. And Brianna Whitehead moves up to second ahead of Corneli, who had a very difficult rounding of the slalom mark. And it looks like Julia Damasovic.
So we had a crash from Brianna Whitehead there on the jibe. I think Alina made quite a good call, actually, not to jibe. I think it was quite a tricky gust. So she held on a little bit longer, jibed and cleaner breeze. And the gust just got Brie in the wrong moment.
Right. So Alina Corneli just playing the patient game actually turned out to be the better move. Corneli finishing second, Damasovic third, and Brianna Whitehead fourth across the line. So there's the situation. Nolo now level on points with Whitehead. Corneli and Damasovic yet to put a win on the board. 1 minute to the next start. A quick break and we'll be back to you shortly.
Specially developed for Olympic kite racing sports. The VMG. Revolutionary, highly efficient, extremely fast. Velocity made good.
50 seconds to the start of the first race of the men's final. And here is the lineup of those. It's Max Mader with 2 wins on the board already for the Singapore rider. Flo Gruber from Germany with 1 win. Denis Taradin of Cyprus and Martin Dolenc of Croatia with no wins. And we've got 4 really, really class acts here from the 17-year-old Max Mader. I heard 2 toots there. I'm just wondering what the toots were and if they relate to what we're doing. It might be something else. 15 seconds to go. And I'm just wondering what's happening. Are we in? Not sure if where we're at with this starting sequence at the moment. Just waiting for any update. We'll go to a quick ad and we'll be back to you shortly. Race.
Okay. Ist das da Kultur?
Oder was?
Was ist mit uns? Sind wir Kultur?
Wir alle sind Kultur.
Alle.
Alle. Alle. Alle.
Alle.
Alle.
Alle.
So race start delayed. We were just getting close to a starting sequence, or we were in the starting sequence and just close to a start for the men's final. But yeah, Max Mader on a 15 square meter. I've been watching Max racing for the last 2 years, and I just get so used to seeing Max Mader on a 23 square meters. So that says something about these conditions, that he's on a 15 for a change.
Yeah, absolutely. He loves that 23 meter, so it's funny seeing him on a 15.
What does that say? Is that not so much the overall wind strength, but the gusts, the variability of it?
Exactly. I think it's, yeah, he's playing it for the punchy gusts and just kind of going for that average wind strength, because we are seeing a big variation in wind coming down the lake.
Now, Max Mader, he's going to be hard to beat. He's on match point. He only needs to win one race. But the other three, they probably are a pretty formidable opposition for him in these kind of conditions. Who do you think would do particularly well in these gusty, strong conditions out of the other three?
It is hard to say. We do have quite the lineup. So obviously we have Max Mader, our current world champion, and then you have Flo Gruber, who is the older, more experienced kiter. He's won 8 world titles across various kiting disciplines. So he's one to watch. He's done a really good job all week as well. And then we've got Dennis Taradin, who again has won a fair share of World Series titles throughout the years. And then we've got Martin Dolench, obviously last year's champion. So it could be anyone's game here, really.
Well, I'm particularly excited to see Flo Gruber having done well here. We had that great 6-race day a couple of days ago, and Flo's had a bad run of it lately. He's been frustrated with his performances, but he seemed to find his mojo again here, and he's been absolutely on fire. Let's find out a little bit more about Flo Gruber, the man you spoke to earlier on this week.
Okay, Flo, I think, in my opinion, you're one of the most versatile extreme sports legends of our time. So it's not only 8 world titles you've had in kite foiling, or in kiting. Tell me about the history of Flo and all the different sports you do.
Yeah, like already like the 8 world titles are saying it. It's not like from one discipline, like I did a lot of different disciplines. I started also with freestyle. There I never reached the top level. I did some World Cups, the KiteFoil Europe a lot, and there's some top 10 results. But yeah, when the racing came up, yeah, I had a good feeling for it. And then, yeah, but I did so many different races, like snow kite racing in the winter, won some world titles there, and then some long distance, adventure racing, the Red Bull Ragnarok. So yeah, there's so many different things, and I'm super happy that I could experience the whole joy of the sport. Like kite surfing or the water sport has so much to deliver, and yeah, I'm just keen to see every side of it. And also now I'm into winging a little bit more, and yeah, that's pretty cool, and it's so much fun to have so many different toys and such a big toolbox you can grab off.
That's awesome. And I guess competition for you is more of a lifestyle now. Does it, when you compete, does it feel like, okay, I need to switch competition mode on, or is it just like, oh, I know this game?
Yeah, over the last years, like it was quite a game, you know, but it also changed by the time. Like since kitesurfing is now in the games and like a proper Olympic discipline.
Yeah.
It changed again a little bit. It got more professional, more structured, and also like the scene, it got way stronger. In the past you had like top 10, top 15, they were quite close, like a really good group, and now you see like it's even hard to reach the top 25 for Gold Fleet, and so it's way harder like to make good results, to have like to show what you can do, because everything can happen at the event. But even if you do bad, it doesn't mean like that you're a bad rider. Sometimes it's just like, okay, the others are as well pretty good, and I think the high level makes the sport so attractive, and yeah, it's always keen to motivate yourself to fight and get better.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you, I guess, because you were in kiting before the Olympics was even on the cards, when they said that it had made it into the games, were you
even more driven for it and excited about that?
Of course, like I
Yeah.
think if there wouldn't be the Olympic Games, like I would already be a bit more off the competitions, maybe a few competitions, but not the whole circus during the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Olympic Games is for every athlete it's a big goal to in the career. So that gave me another motivation push the last 2-3 years
Yeah.
to continue as hard as possible. And yeah, I'm really keen for it, and that's nice to see the development of the sport from the beginning till now. Like yeah, I made almost every step in kite surfing you can do by the equipment. My first kite on the beach was still a 2-liner kite. Then the first 4-liner came out, and it was my first time on the water, 2001, 2002.
Oh, thank you so much, Flo. That is brilliant.
So Flo Gruber, one of the 4 that we'll be watching in this men's final. The other 3 being Max Mader from Singapore, Croatia's Martin Dolenc, and Dennis Taradin of Cyprus. And Jimmy, it's 1:45 to the start. How's the breeze looking for this one?
It's looking good. It's one of the more consistent moments of the day that we've had so far. So yeah, we should be getting a good race coming up.
It's a low bar, isn't it? Finding consistency today. We've not had much of that. So anyway, it looks pretty good. And do you think that Max Mader will be happy to be on his 15?
I reckon he's happy to be out there on any kite size, and yeah.
And we've got Dennis Taradin in the green. That's who we're seeing front of picture. Am I right? That's Taradin.
So in the front of our screen, that with the neon board, I think that's Martin Dolenc.
Well, I was wondering that, but shouldn't Martin?
So Martin is in
wearing
the
red?
green bib, and then
He's
we've
wearing
got
green, is he?
Dennis Taradin will be in a red bib.
Okay.
And then we have Flo in the blue bib, and Maximilian will be in the yellow bib. So Maximilian is the one on the black VMG. And actually, Flo also has a black VMG as well.
Okay. 25 seconds to the start. And it looks like they're all lining up for starboard. Oh, kite down
front
for...
from Martin Dolenc.
Oh, is he going to get it up and running in time? This is a disaster for Martin Dolenc. Whoa, that has gone wrong
Martin.
so badly, so quickly. And meanwhile, it looks like Taradin's having to go round the back of the other 2. I'm not sure what Taradin was trying at the last
Not the start
moment.
that he wanted, for sure. So Florian Gruber at the top of our screen in the blue bib. In the middle, we have Maximilian Mader in the yellow bib, and then Dennis Taradin, who went for the pin. Last-minute decision there, with Maximilian trying to overtake him.
Why do you think Taradin changed his mind just at the last minute like that? Because I thought he had space near the committee boat.
That is a good question. I will have to ask him afterwards. Last-minute strategy change. Flo Gruber going for the first tack there. Maximilian shortly following him.
So when Max tacks so quickly after Flo Gruber, does Max have the vision to know when Gruber has tacked? Can you tell?
Maximilian is very good at just keeping his eyes on all the riders at all points at all the time. He's always looking around his shoulders, seeing what everyone is doing and reacting to that as quick as possible.
Now, just to remind you that if Max Mader wins this race, he sees the title out in just one go. So it's vital for the other 2 still in this race to make sure that Max Mader doesn't win. They need to keep the game alive longer. Flo Gruber's on 1 win compared with... Oh, crash down for Flo Gruber. So now the main competition for Max Mader is Dennis Taradin, the red-bibbed rider. Oh, and still struggling back there for Flo Gruber, struggling to get up and running. So Max Mader at the moment has only got one serious contender. That's Dennis Taradin of Cyprus, who goes round in 2nd place. And it's up to Taradin to keep the game alive, to stop Max Mader from winning this race and winning the title in Trounsey.
Maximilian doing a really good job here, just staying steady in some unsteady conditions. He's very good at that, just keeping calm, doing what he does best. Both of these riders with some solid downwind speed. They're pretty matched on speed, I would say.
Yes, they look it, don't they? I wonder even if Taradin has a slight advantage. But they're both on 15s, is that right?
Yes.
Both the same size kite, pretty much same equipment, or although it's a Chubanga foil setup for Taradin compared with Levitas for Maida.
Yeah, so Max is on the Levitas.
Both coming into the jibe. Max Maida with the yellow bib still in the lead. Dennis Taradin keeping it tight, absolutely matched for speed, if not a little bit faster than Maida on that downwind leg, which means that Taradin is still close enough to put Maida under pressure as they go round the bottom mark for the first time.
Solid rounding from Max there. He's kept some good height out of that leeward mark.
And how is that possibly
Martin
Dolenz? What is he doing there? How has he got...
Amazing comeback from the Chauncey King. Oh, good to see him back in the race. We'll see. He's tacked out straight after that leeward mark. We'll see if the right-hand side of the course works for him. But still at the front, we see Maximilian with some good height, still leading. Dennis Taradin putting some pressure on the young Singaporean rider. Flo Gruber, we can see just up the top there on the other black VMG.
Looking like he's in a good high mode, but he's some way back from the front too, as Max Maida and Dennis Taradin tack simultaneously, and Maida in control of Taradin, with Flo Gruber back in third on this side. Or could it be that Martin Dolenz has actually moved up ahead of Gruber? Dolenz chancing his arm on the far side of the course. He might as well do that. But Martin Dolenz must have phenomenal downwind speed to even be back in the game at all.
That was incredible. I think the adrenaline when your pre-start doesn't go as you hoped, I think that just kind of always adds a couple of knots to your speed.
Makes you wonder. More simultaneous tacking between Singapore and Cyprus, but Flo Gruber is not far off either. So has Flo Gruber managed to put himself back into the race? Maida goes round in first, Taradin round in second, Gruber round in third, and not far back in fourth is Dolenz. So there is still a race on, and Taradin is keeping it close with Maida. Maida's got a little bit more depth, Taradin going more for speed. Every maneuver is simultaneous between these two, absolutely matched tack for tack and jibe for jibe. Maida not giving in to the pressure being exerted on him by Dennis Taradin, and Maida again showing a bit more depth, which tactically is keeping Maida quite safe from the charge from behind.
Maida never pushes too much. That's one guarantee.
Touching 36, almost 37 knots of speed downwind with the 15 square meter kite. Max Maida safely around the bottom of the course, but he's still got to get towards that jibe mark, and it's not long before they've got to get straight into the next jibe. It's a pretty short leg. Will Maida be able to keep his nerve?
Whoa.
Quite a wide turn. Is this an opportunity for Taradin? Maida at least is safely through, and he's on his approach towards the finish line, and Max Maida is set to win in Trounsey. The 17-year-old Singaporean, he came into this match on match point, and he takes the title. So congratulations to Max Maida of Singapore. And Dennis Taradin across in second, Martin Dolenz in third, and that means it's Flo Gruber in fourth. But what an amazing performance by the 17-year-old Max Maida to see out the title in just one go. And we've got his youngest brother, Vijay, in the booth with us. Vijay's going to run down and congratulate his brother now. So that was very surgically completed and executed, wasn't it, Jemmy?
Yeah, as Max knows best. He knows how to lead. He knows how to win races, as we've seen a lot this year. So incredible stuff. Oh, he's stoked on that win. We can see him celebrating with his family on the beach right now.
Well, we have to go to a quick break and reset because we're going to get into the start of the women's race coming up very shortly. So back to you soon. So there is Max Mader being interviewed, our new Transy champion. But we've only got 1 minute 30 to the start of the next women's race. We've already seen Lauriane Nolot win the race earlier. That puts her on level pegging with Brianna Whitehead from Australia. So if either the Australian or the French rider were to win the next match, that would be the end of it. But of course, Alina Korneli of Austria and Julia Damasovic from Poland want to put their first win on the board and keep the match open a little bit longer. With just over a minute to go, Jimmy, tell us, what do you think the wind is doing at the moment? It seems like it's picked up.
Yeah, it's breezy. It's going to be exciting on the 15 meters for the girls, I think. Definitely a powered race.
15 was plenty for the boys. And the girls not being as heavy as the men, that's going to be quite challenging for them on the 15 square meter, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. It helps to have a little bit more weight to hold the power and kind of utilize the power that the kite has to give in these conditions.
35 seconds to go.
Oh, we can see a kite down there. That's Alina Korneli in the red bib. Not too happy there. That's when your kite's in a bit of a ball like that. It's difficult.
Is that game over?
Up. Not game over. You can see the gust kind of getting it back into the right shape it needs to be, but still difficult to relaunch.
15 seconds to go. Well, this was a similar scenario for Martin Dolenc, who somehow managed to bounce back after landing his kite in the water before the start. But now we only see 3 riders in play as we come into the final seconds as they cross the line. And in her normal way, Brianna Whitehead of Australia wins the pin. Lauriane Nolot, the middle of the pack, and then Julia Damasovic up to windward, and Damasovic looking good out of that clear start for all the riders.
Similar story to the race before. It's interesting how all of those riders have gone for their same strategy. They know what works for them, they know their different skills, and we'll see if this plays out the same as before or if they've got something different up their sleeves.
Brianna Whitehead looking fast on the left-hand side of our screen, just coming into a gust. Nolot also going quickly. Julia Damasovic not quite able to match the pace of the other two, but still in a good tactical position. I just wonder if Nolot just has that extra click of pace over the Polish rider. Nolot now aiming to tack across the front of Damasovic, which she manages to do, and it's looking like Brianna Whitehead's going to pass behind Damasovic, and it's close between those two. Nolot clean away on the right-hand side, and now that's the picture of Whitehead in yellow and Damasovic in the green.
Brianna just going for a bit of a low mode there, probably aiming to go underneath Julia's kite and punch out on that port tack. L'Oreal with some solid speed in clean breeze, doing a good job out front. She's tacked and she's already the first around the windward mark, a really solid lead from the French rider.
That's an incredible lead, isn't it? That's happened in such a short time.
An incredible lead for such a small course, I would say, as well.
Yes, and that wide stance of Nolot, she looks very solid on this downwind leg. A leaning forward stance of Damasovic compared with the leaning back stance of Whitehead in the yellow. Very close between those two, but the more important fact is that Lauriane Nolot, if she wins this race, she will win the title. And we've already had one reigning world champion win in Transy. That's Max Mader just a couple of minutes ago in the men. Will this be another reigning world champion adding the title of Transy to her amazing 2023 season of victories?
Yeah, what a good season, especially after a little bit of a break over this last month. This is her first regatta back, and she's on good form, as we can see.
What do you think of that rounding? That looked a little bit sketchy at times. Was it okay?
Sketchy, so that her wingtip tucked in there, I think, in the gust, but she's managed to get it back in control, untuck the wingtip, and still keeping that solid lead.
Given away a little bit of ground to windward compared with Brianna Whitehead, who's made a cleaner rounding. But so far, so good still for Nolot, touching almost 25 knots of speed going upwind Whitehead also close to 25 knots. So,
Oh, a crash from Brianna Whitehead there.
And something wrong for Julia Damasovic as well. That it's not.
Oh, Julia's tacked out. She's gone for the early tack, seeing if she can make any gains going out to the right-hand side of the course. Lorianne Nolo pretty convinced on this left-hand track.
And Nolo completing her tack onto port. Nolo only one more tack to do and she'll be around the top mark for the final time. And they're running out of runway for reeling in Nolo, who is looking increasingly like she's going to take the title here in Trounsey in the women's fleet. Whitehead tacks on the left, following Nolo in from the left-hand side of the racecourse. Nolo going past the spacer mark and up towards the windward mark for the final time. Looking like good breeze as Nolo is about to round the windward mark. Oh, splash down.
Crash from Julia Damasovic there. Meanwhile, Lorianne on this downwind, still the only rider on the downwind leg, a huge lead now. She's enjoying this breeze. I know she was hoping for a bit more of a windy final, and that is what she has got.
She came here for a bit of light wind practice as well, which she also had, but this is windy for Trounsey, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And look at the gap now for Nolo back to Whitehead and Julia Damasovic way back in third, and then Alina Corneli not in the race after that that losing her kite in the water about 30 seconds before the start. So Nolo can afford to take it easy. I don't know if there is such a thing as taking it easy in these conditions. What do you think?
Yeah, you just want to kind of play it safe and really, yeah, just stay on your board and not send it too hard, but you still want to be sending it, keeping that lead. Yeah, you can see she's chilling a little bit more, taking this final jibe a little bit easy.
Well,
coming into that final reach.
Oh, how was that? When I see the kite do that, I worry for Nolo, but it looks like
she's got it.
Yeah, the French rider's got it, and she's on the final approach to the finish. And increasingly, it looks like we're going to have two world champions, both winning in Trounsey. Lorianne Nolo, just meters away from the line, crosses the finish line and becomes the champion of Trounsey 2023. Congratulations to the French rider. And coming across, she's led for much of the week. Brianna Whitehead's going to be in second. There's the celebration from Nolo. And her chickens, Nugget and Bruschette, are going to be at home watching the live stream, celebrating for her. And well and truly back after taking most of the last 2 months off on holiday, taking some time out since winning the world title in the Netherlands. Now she adds yet another championship title to her amazing roster of wins in 2023. Lorianne Nolo just seems to keep on getting better and better. And there we have it. Nolo takes the gold. Brianna Whitehead from Australia takes silver. Julia Damasovic the bronze. And unfortunately nothing for Alina Corneli after splashing down before the start of that race. So a DNS for her in that race, but still a good performance for Corneli, and still a lot of work to do for the Austrian and the Polish rider who are looking to qualify their countries for Paris 2024 next year. But here we're surely looking at the favourite for next year. I don't know, you'd probably have something to say about that from the strong GBR squad, Jimmy, but Nolo has set the pace this season, hasn't she?
I mean, the level in the women's is so high. All of these girls are so impressive this year, and yeah, everyone's only getting faster, so it's going to be really exciting season next year. And I mean, the season's still continuing this year, so
in a few days' time in Calgary, when we'll be coming back to you with the next event from the KiteFoil World Series. We're going to go to a quick break and back to you shortly.
Ist das da Kultur?
Oder das?
Was ist mit uns? Sind wir Kultur?
Wir alle sind Kultur.
Ole.
Alle.
Alle. Alle. Ole.
Alle.
Alle.
I can't hear Marina, so I might need you there. Yeah.
You're on.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go say hello to our new champion, Lorianolo. You did it once again. Yeah, it was cool. Toggle interview, Loria. How do you feel? Congratulations.
Thank you. I feel happy. It was it was a really long day today. I was really not expecting to finish like that. As you can see, it's really blowing. We were with the 15. Every second I was like, I hope my kite is not gonna front stall, because it was super gusty coming from everywhere.
Yeah.
And like even at the end, like my main focus was just don't crash. Every single jibe it was super weird, like you were losing the lift, the kite doesn't want it to turn, or yeah, it was but I did it. So you did it, great job. Your chickens will be proud. Yeah. Again.
Oh, good. Okay, where's our next champion, Max? Hey, Simo, can you see Maximilian anywhere? We'll get he's just over there. We'll get a few words with Max. Over to you, Andy.
Yeah, we're trying to find Max. We're just getting him in a moment. So we've got two world champions now, both champions of Trounsey, but none of it came easy here, did it? It had to be on your game all week. We've had all kinds of conditions and probably more variety than we expected.
Here's Maximilian, who's coming up to share a few words.
Max, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Andy.
I've been watching you for the best part of 2 years, and I can't remember you ever using a 15 square meter before. It must have been gusty out there.
Well, you should have seen me a bunch of times, but yeah, it was one of the most tricky conditions we've had in a long time, I believe. And I can't believe how I keep getting not the short end of the stick, the long end of the stick, I guess, if you will, because there were 2 or 3 moments where I was very fortunate, just to not get, hit by Martin's kite that almost fell onto me, not fly off my board on the last jibe with that gust, not catch something up there where all the debris was. So, so many moments where stuff could have gone wrong where it went right for me.
Yeah, well, you've done it again, and you've got it all to do again next week in Cagliari. Not much recovery time. Any opportunity for celebration with the family, and will we see the family join you in Cagliari as well?
That's a great question. I usually don't inquire about their plans, so I'm trying to focus on, like you said, gearing up for the next race. And I think everyone here is enthusiastic for more, let's say, open water conditions, right? As they come.
Yeah, this has brought its own challenges, racing here in the mountains, a few hundred meters above sea level. It should be a different kind of competition in Cagliari, but you've done well there before. It can be stormy there as well. We saw that last year, and we've seen it years before. Yeah. Maybe we'll see you on the 15 or maybe even the 11 square meter in Cagliari. What do you think?
That's absolutely a possibility. That would be great fun.
Anyway, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
The reigning world champion now winning here in Trounsey. Great to see you perform so well, and all the best, and we'll see you in Cagliari very soon.
Thanks, Andy.
So, from me and Jimmy, that's pretty much it. We are going to be jumping on an aeroplane, getting the train to Munich tomorrow, jumping on an aeroplane, getting to Cagliari, and then we'll be back in action again on Wednesday, and we'll have the live stream again next weekend. So not much rest for the wicked. Jimmy, what's it been like from the other side of the fence? There must be times when you were wishing that you were out there racing, and probably other times when you were glad that you weren't one of the riders, because it's been nothing but very challenging.
Yeah, for sure. It's been challenging conditions, but they've really made the most of it. And yeah, they've impressed me. These guys are so good. The level's so high, and yeah, what a week we've had.
And what a week for all the organisers behind the scenes. It's taken a massive effort to get the racing done. So that's it from Trounsey, but we're going to close with just a preview of what you can expect in Cagliari, Sardinia in the coming week. We look forward to seeing you then.
This is tight racing at very high speeds, and it's very, very exciting.